Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to A Star is Born. This is a donation reward for Smurf, and yeah, it is a musical movie starring Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. And that's pretty much all I know about it. I assume it's probably romance based on the circles I've heard it talked about in. But I don't know much of anything about this, so I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know if I ever saw any trailers for it. I probably did, but it would have been a while because this movie's a few years old now. Like, I think it came out in 2018, which is like, it's weird to think about how much came out in 2018 at this point, or 2019 even, because at this point it's like with COVID happening and just kind of taking over a year away from us, it's just like time has become just all kinds of messed up. It's hard to believe that like 2019 was 2 years ago, because it doesn't seem like it was. But yeah, so this movie, I don't know what I'm gonna think of it. I have no idea how to view it going into it. But I do tend to like Lady Gaga. I'm kind of a fan of Bradley Cooper. I like music, which this movie seems to focus on from what I know of it. And I'm okay with romance stories. I mean, I like The Notebook, which actually surprised me. um, but yeah, I have hopes for this one. I don't know what to think about it going in, but I have hopes for it. Um, we'll see how it goes. I've seen Bradley Cooper in a few different types of movies. Like, obviously, he's the voice of Rocket Raccoon in the MCU. But I've also seen him in, what is the name of that movie? I can't think of the name of it. There was a series that was based off of it, too. But it was like, there's this movie where he, like, takes this pill or something that, like, unlocks the full potential of his brain. And it was, like, this really interesting movie that's kind of steeped in a little bit of weird, not quite correct science and everything. But it was pretty good. And Lady Gaga is, Lady Gaga. It's like I've enjoyed her music for a good amount of time and everything. So yeah, I don't know who else is in this. I don't know like what the plot is. I don't know how heavy music is going to be a focus of it. I know music has something to do with the movie, and with Lady Gaga being one of the stars, it makes sense. And I think Bradley Cooper can sing as well, which would, I guess, make sense if. But still, it's like I don't know the exact way it's utilized in the film, basically. Um, Interested to find out though. And if you wish to donate for another movie reaction at any point, whether you have before or not, and only if you are able, you can do so by donating to my PayPal. If you need any information, I can give it to you. And you can request anything. A movie, a series, a YouTube video, or a YouTube series. As long as I have not seen it, it's fair game. And you can talk to me about that if you're unsure if I've seen it or not in the comments below. Check in on me before donating and everything. But yeah, anything is fair game. Even if you think it's something I may not be as into, feel free to suggest it nonetheless. Feel free, because you never know. I never know what I'm going to like. So it's always good to give it a chance, you know? Always willing to check anything out, basically. But yeah. So feel free to suggest anything, only if and when you can. Don't feel pressure. Though I will say, this is the last movie we currently have donated for. So there won't be any continued weekly movie donation reactions unless we start getting more. But again, it's completely optional anyways. If we don't have any, then we just don't have any. And we'll just do our regular reactions as it is. So, yeah. Either way, we're just going to get this started. Hope for the best. See what this movie has in store for us. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because if it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the movie. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, before anything, I'm going to say that at the end there, after Jack's suicide and Allie's emotional performance, I feel like the emotion the movie was trying to make the viewers feel was sorrow, but I was just angry. That's why I didn't cry. I wasn't even really tearing up, because I was pissed that Rez got away from it scot-free. Allie's manager, Rez, gets away with basically murder. And on top of that, with all of the shit he's done in this film, and the way he's treated Allie, there's not even any kind of confirmation of him being fired as her manager or anything. Not even a hint at it, really. And that pisses me off. Because no matter how you look at it, he is responsible for Jack's suicide. He is the one who put it in Jack's head that Jack nearly ruined Allie's career. He is the one who put it in Jack's head that he was a burden on Allie. Jack and Allie had been doing much better after Jack had come back from rehab. Things had been rekindled and everything had been working again. And then he had to come in and fuck it all up. And I am livid. I am pissed that he didn't face any repercussions for that. And it angers me even more when Sam Elliott's character, his brother, Bobby, blames him. Like, no matter what, they obviously didn't know what Rez said. But no matter what, you never fucking blame the victim of a suicide. As someone who has attempted suicide, as someone who very strongly stands up for suicide awareness and awareness of depression and just mental illness in general, you never fucking blame the victim. You never say it was their fault, because it is never their fault. No matter whether there's some outside source that influences them or not. It is never their fucking fault. It is mental illness. And it needs to be treated. It needs to be just cared for and watched over. You don't blame them. Blaming victims like this only just makes things worse. And it makes people who suffer mental illnesses like this just more likely to commit suicide. Because by blaming them, by victims being blamed, more people are just going to see themselves as the issue. And they're not going to work to get better. They're going to fucking kill themselves. And it's fucking horrible. And I understand the idea was that he was trying to relieve Allie of some of that stress and pain. That he was trying to help her in that time, but that is not how you fucking do it. And I'm really sorry if I seem very, very fucking pissed right now, but I am very fucking pissed right now at that. At the fact that Rez did not face any fucking repercussions, and that in the end they tried to, at least Bobby as a character, tried to blame Jack for his suicide and said that it was his fault. But I will say that I am getting this heated over this movie and this conclusion and everything because it was a fucking amazing movie. It wasn't perfect. It had a few issues, and I'll get to that in a moment, but because it was so good, I started to care for these characters and their relationship, and I wanted to see things work out. And so, like, in the end, the fact that Jack commits suicide and everything, that's horrific and absolutely terrible, and it's like, but it leads to the story and everything. There is kind of setup for it. It doesn't come out of nowhere. But again, the fact that Rez faces no repercussions, the fact that Bobby blames Jack in the end, pisses me the fuck off. And I'm going to briefly talk, just while I'm kind of on a roll with this, so I'm on a roll with things about this movie I didn't like. I'm going to talk about my other couple negatives with this film, just to get these out of the way before I talk about all the good. The pacing was not that great. The pacing could have been much better. There was a lot of really sudden cuts. And it just seemed like certain scenes just did not last as long as they should have. And there was just way too much that happened, basically, and not enough time to properly tell everything. So in the end, a lot of stuff ended up being like cut really quickly, and a lot of things just kept moving forward really fast. And that gets into my second major issue. Jack and Allie's relationship developed way too quickly. It didn't feel natural. Pretty much by the time they're in that cop bar, which is like really early in the film, it's like basically just after they've met, they're pretty much already a couple by that point. It's pretty much cemented them as a couple by that point. It's like, that's way too fucking quick. Yes, he was being flirty with her and everything at the drag bar and all, and she kind of seemed to reciprocate that a little bit, but it happened really, really fucking quick. And then throughout the film, the relationship kept progressing really, really fucking quickly, never really taking time to breathe, and it just felt unnatural because of that. But that's where my negatives about the movie end. Everything was amazing. Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper shared phenomenal chemistry on screen. While the relationship did move too fast, the relationship itself was believable. You definitely felt that chemistry. You felt that they were a couple. The writing itself was also really good. Again, even though the pacing was definitely a little too fast at points, most of the movie, the actual story and dialogue and all that was great. It was extremely well handled. It was well acted. And I just felt like they really did well on that regard. The music was phenomenal, which good thing it was. Like, this is clearly a movie about music. Music is a main focus of this film, so the music should be good, and it is. It was very good. It definitely felt like Lady Gaga music, honestly, and the kind of country rock that Jack had going on was extremely entertaining as well. As a fan of rock myself, I very much enjoyed almost all of his performances, with only a couple being lesser so. um, I like the supporting cast as well. Like, again, outside of that victim blaming at the end, I did like Sam Elliott as Bobby. I did really like Anthony Ramos as Allie's friend. As much as I despise Rez, I really like the actor's portrayal of him. The father, Allie's father, and his friends were great. It was really good. And the movie just, it kept me invested the entire time. I grew to enjoy and like and care about these characters. And I really just got into it. Very much so. But I can't deny those negatives. I can't. And part of it is probably just because of my own experiences with this kind of stuff. But it's just, I can't get over the victim blaming and the fact that Rez faced no repercussions. I can get over the pacing issues. I can get over the fact that the relationship moved way too quickly and felt a little unrealistic. I can get over that stuff because a lot of romance films do that kind of shit. But the other stuff, the victim blaming and Rez getting no repercussions, I can't get over that. Again, it's possibly because it's me and because of my experiences with depression and suicide, but the victim blaming pissed me the fuck off. And I don't know if that was intended to come across like that. I don't know if like it was intended to come across in a different way. But the way it came across, the way it was said, the way it was written, it was straight up victim blaming. And the weirdest part about it too is that when Jack himself was blaming himself for everything and apologizing to Allie, she said straight to him, no, it's not your fault. It's a disease. And that is completely correct. Mental illness, drug addiction, all of this stuff is very much a disease. It is not the fault of the victim suffering through it. Yeah, they should definitely work to better themselves and all, but it is not their fault for having those mental illnesses, those diseases. And yet then at the end, he, again, maybe it was just because he was trying to comfort her, but blaming Jack for his suicide is so fucked up. It is so fucked up. And not just because we as viewers know otherwise, not just because we know that Rez was behind it, that he was the one who basically killed Jack. That it was entirely his fault. It's not just because of that. You never fucking blame the victim. And that goes for anything. You never fucking blame victims of sexual assault. You never blame the victims of murder. People do it, and they're fucking pieces of shit for doing it. But if you have any semblance of just humanity in you, you don't fucking blame the victims, especially when mental illness is involved. But again, even though I can't ignore those issues, even though I can't let those go, I still did love this film. It was great, well written, well acted, well sung, and did almost everything right. Apparently, it's a remake too. Apparently, the Star is Born was a movie twice before, from what I saw when I looked it up after the reaction and before this. Um, Apparently, there were two previous versions in, like, I think it was the 30s and the 50s. Um, those will probably have been much different, mind you, but still. I'm just, I am curious as to how much of this does coincide, though, with Lady Gaga's career, just the ideas behind kind of, in a way, losing yourself to kind of the big production and glitz and glam of all of performance, and compared to just performing for the sake of loving music and the reasons why you got into it. Because think about it, throughout her career, after her career really kicked off and everything, she performed as Allie, a one name kind of persona, sort of like, I don't know, Beyonce or something like that. Like, we know Beyonce's last name is Knowles, but people just call her Beyonce. She performs as Beyonce, not Beyonce Knowles, just Beyonce. And so it's the same kind of thing here, but then at the end, when she's performing the song in honor of Jack, she introduces herself as Allie Main, her full name. She's also stripped down from the glitz and glam. She doesn't have all of the lights and dancers and all of that. It's just a stripped down, emotional, love filled performance in honor of Jack, going back to her roots of how she started. And the reasons why she got into this in the first place, being Jack. So I'm wondering if any of that, in some way at least, mirrors Lady Gaga. Because when people think of Lady Gaga, they think of all the glitz and glam. They think of the meat dresses and the, I don't know, disco balls and whatever. They think of the fancy outfits, the overblown dancing, all the lights and flashes and whatnot. And so it's like when you see, when a lot of these people see Lady Gaga more down to earth and just as herself and stuff, a lot of them are surprised. A lot of them are surprised as to what she actually looks like, as to what she actually sounds like when she's just letting her raw vocals out and everything. I've heard a lot of people saying that they almost didn't recognize her, and that's sad. And the thing is, if an artist likes doing all that glitz and glam and likes being over the top and stuff, there's nothing wrong with that. But just don't lose the reason you started in music in the first place. Don't lose your roots. Don't forget who you are and become too enveloped in that glitz and glam. Doing the glitz and glam is fine if that's what you want to do, and if that's what you like to do, and if that's what you like to do for your fans, because that's what they enjoy. There's nothing wrong with that. I want to make that clear because it might have sounded like I was insinuating that when I was talking during the reaction stuff. But that's not what I'm trying to get across here. It's just, it was clear that Allie was losing herself and becoming too wrapped up in the persona of Allie and losing who she actually is as Allie Main. Which again does come back full circle in the end when she introduces herself as Allie Main rather than just Allie. So it's just, I want to make that clear. I'm not trying to like knock on artists who do that kind of stuff. And I'm not trying to knock on the more extravagant style of music either. Because I like that kind of music still. I love Lady Gaga's more poppy, upbeat, over the top music. It's fun. But anywho, I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. And just keep in mind, suggesting movies that have stuff like this, that might knowingly make me angry or stuff, you can keep doing it. Don't think that because I got super fucking angry at this, don't see that as a deterrent for choosing certain movies. I mean, sure, like anybody, I'm not a huge fan of getting angry. But this is kind of stuff that I feel like we should be getting angry at. And that might be the point. So don't feel like this is like any kind of deterrent. Keep suggesting anything, any kind of movie, no matter what. Even if it has something that you think might make me angry, because that might actually make me angry for the right reasons, and I might still love the movie nonetheless. Because like I said, I still do love this movie nonetheless. But yeah. And as I said in the pre-thoughts, if you have a donation reward idea, feel free to suggest it, and we can work on the donation. I can tell you how to do that if you haven't done it already before. Get you all handled in that. And again, you can request anything, whether it's a movie, a series, a YouTube video or series, as long as I have not seen it. And as I also said, we are done with all of the movies we had on the back burner for now. So I am looking for more movies if you can, but only if you can. As always, this is not a requirement. This is just a fun little extra thing I like to do on the channel to give you guys more input into stuff that I watch, as well as to give me the chance to see some stuff that I never would have seen otherwise. And I feel like doing this kind of like one-time payment thing, like, oh, you pay, no matter how much you pay, you get a donation reward. I like that better than trying to like figure out a Patreon thing for that. Because some people might not even be able to do like a monthly thing for that. So it just be, it just, I don't have the biggest viewership. Definitely not big enough to actually make that work. Anyway, no matter how you look at it. But yeah, only if you can and are able and willing to, feel free to donate. Again, we could talk about that in the comments. If you want to run a movie by me, see if I've seen it already and whatnot, feel free. And yeah, if you can and only if you can, feel free to donate, and we can do more movie reactions like this going ahead in the future. And we have donation reward shows 2 times a week on the weekends as well, Saturdays and Sundays. So if you have a show you would like to see me react to, it can be anime, live action, cartoon, feel free to suggest that as well. And if I haven't seen it, then I could get to it, and you could have that as a donation reward. And again, just as a reminder, any amount donated gets you a reward. Doesn't matter if you donate 5, doesn't matter if you donate 10, 20, so on and so forth. Any amount gets you a reward. Donate only what you are able to, and only if you are able to. And you can, if you want to donate like a certain amount, you can, but you have multiple things you want to see me react to, you can split that up. If you want to donate 20, you could do like 2-3 different donations for that if you wanted to. Just feel free to figure that out. And either way, like I said, tell me your thoughts on this film down in the comments below. And thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.